All right, Shalom. This is Har1 Banyasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. I want to say Ka Halayim La Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai Ba'Hashem Harakak Wadash Ma'amath. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Shalom to you, Akim, and Agwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. I want to do a quick commentary on this series I've been watching, man, called The Godfather of Harlem, with Forrest Whitaker. And you have him playing the character or the real life person. You know, he's the he's playing the character Bumpy Johnson. All right, what you call a gangster, right? Back during the times of Kennedy. And matter of fact, let me get this. All right, I just want to read this description. It says, in the early 1960s, infamous crime boss Bumpy Johnson, who was a Jake, returns from 10 years in prison to find the neighborhood he once ruled in shambles out in Harlem, and the streets controlled by the Italian mob. Bumpy must take over the Genovese crime family to regain control, man. All right, and it was based on the time period was based on basically around the same time of the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and it shows they keep saying if they can do this, you know, it shows the upper echelon who's over the mafia, which was a lower form of the Illuminati. All right, or these crime families, the banking elites, and so on and so on. All right, and political elites. Now, basically Esau. All right, so it's based around the time of John F. Kennedy's assassination, and it shows. So that was around what, 1963. All right, John F. Kennedy was the 35th president, and you had. I suggest too, man, if you watch this series, The Godfather of Harlem, and they did pretty good work on it too, man. All right. It says executive producers Forrest Whitaker and Marquand Smith. So Forrest Whitaker is one of the executive producers too. I didn't know that, but I suggest you watch The Irishman as well. All right, and that's based on what's his name, Jimmy Hoffa, the assassination of Jimmy Hoffa. All right, and that happened around the same time, man. You know, they were taking out all the people that was like rising stars at that time. Anybody that was shining, they'd take them out. You had Martin Luther King. You had Malcolm X. You had, what's his name? Jimmy Hoffa. You had JFK. So they was just knocking them off, man. All right. So that was a major time where our people, Jake, was getting involved with these crime families and trying to find a different door or avenue to gain some type of status in America or a power seat. So they were going through Islam, they were going through crime, they were going through gangs. You had the JBM that was started, the Black Mafia. You had the political seat, which was corrupt. All right, the Jakes that was involved in that. And also in the entertainment industry. Okay, but at that same time, you had Abba Bivens bringing out the word, man, bringing this truth. The Lord put this the spirit back upon the earth through Abba Bivens and on down through Apostle Tahar a little later. All right, but what I want to go into real quick, man, briefly, is it just shows that we had to go to them for everything, man. Everything. Even and you had with Jimmy Hoffa with the union. All right, all you union workers today. So they had to go to them for the want of all things, man. Or dealing with the government, in the streets, and any avenue you look at, Jake had to go to Esau for some type of status, or even to turn on their people in a political way. They had to go to Esau to do it. This is Proverbs 22:7. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. All right, and that's what happened back then. The rich, that's all they were. It wasn't nothing special about them. The mob, they were just criminals. All right, and they were using deception and whispering and waiting, for blood and killing each other, man. All of that, and then at the end of the movie, the Irishman, you see the Irishman. It plays out hand in hand with it, and they get older. Joe Pesci and Al Pacino, the characters they play, they get old in the movie, and they realize all that was for nothing. It was for naught. It was vanity. All right, their riches and all that power and all that killing, it was for nothing. The movements they were doing, it was for nothing. Somebody else came along and changed it. All right, or amended it. So it says what? The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. All right. He that soweth iniquity shall reap vanity. And that's what they've been sowing, iniquity. And all they reap from it is what? Vanity. All that riches and want and worldly lust. All right. And the borrower, it says, he that soweth iniquity shall reap vanity, and the rod of his anger shall fail. All right. And this is a testament that kind of fits right with people like Bumpy Johnson, man. But the Lord said we weren't going to make it out through criminality, through Islam, and through media, going into buildings and teaching and setting up discussions and debates and all that. All right. All that was just a precursor to set up the environment for the truth to finally be in the forefront. The truth about Yahweh Shem Yahushua, the Israelites. All right. It says, Sirach 10. I'm going to just start from 27. Better is he that laboreth and aboundeth in all things than he that boasteth himself and wanteth bread. My son, glorify thyself, thy soul in meekness, and give it honor according to the dignity thereof. Who will justify him that sinneth against his own soul? And who will honor him that dishonoreth his own life? The poor man is honored for his skill. All right. So people like Bumpy Johnson was honored for his skill. All right. They respected him for his skills. He would slash them. He was good with the knife or whatever like that, man. And his heart and his being able to calculate all the numbers that the mobsters were doing at that time. All right, he was good at number running. And it says, and the rich man is honored for his riches. And he was heavy into the drug sales too, So, I don't watch movies for that though. You know what I mean? So that's why I ain't bring that up. But moving on, it says, he that is honored in poverty, how much more in riches? And he that is dishonored in riches, how much more in poverty, man? So, and now, like Esau, man, they rich. They were the rich. So when they go into poverty, how much more are they going to be dishonored, man? All right. Matter of fact, I'm going to get this real quick. This is Sirach 8:1. Strive not with a mighty man, lest thou fall into his hands, man. And in that movie, even in The Irishman, anybody that, like, what they say, like, if you just walk up to one of the mafia members and ask them a question, they would, you had to do their bidding or they'd threaten you from that point, man. Like one of the drivers that was driving for Hoffa and The Irishman, I think his name was the Weasel. He wanted to be one of the people that spoke on the case later, informant. But he said the way they would approach him, he was a driver for the mafia or whatever, and he would do small jobs. And they approached him one day and said, nah, you're going to be driving for Jimmy Hoffa. He said he don't want to drive for Jimmy Hoffa. And then after that, he became what? He said, yo, from that point, they said, well, you don't have a choice. They're not asking. So he became the driver for Jimmy Hoffa from that point. And that's the crazy part about it. All right, so it says, strive not with a mighty man, lest thou fall into his hands. So that's why the Lord said, stay away from all that and avoid them. All right. And they would strive, people like Bumpy Johnson was striving with him. And it says, what? Be not at variance with a rich man, lest he overweigh thee. All right. And you'll see in them in the series, anytime he'll go up against one of the so you had the Italian mafia, you had the Jewish mafia, and you know, and different fashions of the mafia families, man. All right, straight from Sicily or whatever. But a lot of them with Esau, some of them was Jake's. All right, but and it says what? Be not at variance with a rich man, lest he overweigh thee. All right, so his money would be more powerful against Jake's at that time because we were in poverty. So they were using their money to corrupt our people and put drugs into our communities and solicit our women for sex and prostitution. All right. And they would use our people for workers and murder, assassinations and stuff like that, man. All right. So if you watch The Irishman, and if you watch the Godfather of Harlem, those are to me, they're the best cinemas or that have come out this year, man. And they get detailed, and there's a lot of moral value you can gain from it, and a lot of understanding the history on that time period in the 1960s on both hands, you know, like how those things were transacting and happening, the courses that they were going through, the confusion, the greed, the murder, the killing, all that, man. And in the midst of that, the truth was being pushed, you know, out in the streets. So it says what? Be not at variance with a rich man, lest he overweigh thee, for gold have destroyed many and perverted the hearts of kings. So riches basically, man. All right. All right, this is Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee. All right, and that's what happened. The Lord sent Esau against us, you know, from Greece to Rome to America, bringing us over here in slavery. And then while we're here, them keeping their foot on our neck, man, keeping us in poverty and keeping us our people corrupted. All right, but the Lord has placed a covering over the men that he has sanctified, the men, women, and children of the children of Israel. It says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And that's what happened, man. So in want of all things. All right. So in every avenue that our people tried to take in this society, they had to go see Esau. Esau is always at the top until the Lord brings them down. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he has destroyed thee, man. And they did that through hardcore slavery. And now is with what? Your birth certificate or their marketing money system. And now the Lord going to bring that down as well. All right, that yoke of iron. That's and it's that mental yoke. This is Wisdom of Solomon 1:9. For inquisition shall be made into the counsels of the ungodly, and the sound of his words shall come up unto the Lord for the manifestation of his wicked deeds, man. And everything that Esau has done is being recorded before the Most High, man. All the murders, all the killing, you know, the betrayal, the deception, all right, the idolatry, you know, all the wickedness, you know, the mafia, all of them, all the deaths that happen. Their blood is on their hands and spirit. And it says, for the ear of jealousy heareth all things, and the noise of murmurings is not hid, man. So that's where a lot of crooked deals were made and assassinations were made through the whisperings and the wine drinkings and the circles of their wicked elites, man. All right. Or their bosses. All right. This is Ecclesiastes 1:14. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, right? The scriptures say there's nothing new under the sun. All right. The same things are here, man. The same wickedness and the same believers. All right, you have the wicked and the righteous. That's just it. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit, man. All right. So all is vanity. So all of their deals and programs, everything they set up in the society, man, for their families and all the riches and wealth that they got, ill gain. It was all vanity and vexation of spirit, man. This is Sirach 10:7. Pride is hateful, and a lot of those Edomites at that time was prideful, man. All right. It says before Yahweh and man, and by both doeth one commit iniquity. All right. So by both they commit iniquity towards Yahweh and towards man through their pride. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. All right. Why is the earth and ashes proud? So they got all these riches through deceit and deception and killing and injuries. All right. And unrighteous dealings, unrighteous deals. It says, why is earth and ashes proud? There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man, for such an one setteth his own soul to sale, because while he liveth, he casteth away his bowels, man. This is Ecclesiastes 6:10. That which have been is named already, and it is known that it is man. All right, because you have reincarnation. And those people, we've all been here before, man. You know, every 400 or 500 years, you come back to this earth. So they'll build and kill and destroy and rob and steal and ill dealings and sin and wickedness. And that at their old age, or they'll just die a quick, murderous death, man. And then that's it. They come back to this earth and they got to do it all over again. Everything they built up, you know, but you've seen them at the, when they were sitting at their tables and their glass and the shades, and they had their drinks and their riches and wealth and you know, setting up all those different backdoor deals and assassinations. All of that was the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua at the end of the day. Because man is vanity, especially in these bodies. So the only one that's going to not be vanity in the kingdom is the elect. And the work that we do in this society, that's the only thing that's not vain, man. This work. All right. The spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is eternal. His word going to stand forever. All right. And there's proof. If you watch those movies, those series and those movies, and you see the times we're in now, the only thing that's standing is the truth, is the spirit. That's the thing that we hope for, and the prophecies are speaking. All right. At the end, it shall speak and not lie. Ecclesiastes 6:11. Seeing there be many things that increase vanity, what is man the better? All right. And they was fearing man and their guns and their weapons and the traps that were being set, man, you know, coming out of slavery and then going into their political settings where they had a different type of in bondage or slavery, man, or servitude or entrapments or in the ghettos. It says, seeing there be many things that increase vanity, what is man the better? So even those mafia members were vain. It's just vanity. All right, just a front, another threat of Esau, and the Lord about to bring all of that down. All right, all the way to the elite bankers and so on and so on. For who knoweth what is good for man in this life? All right. All the days of his vain life, which he spendeth as a shadow. For who can tell a man what shall be after him under the sun? All right. So who can tell him? Because things change upon the earth. You know, a person dies and the riches are left to their children or whoever, then that person is more wicked than them, or they might be righteous and do away with all this. So you just don't know. All right. So the best thing to do is what? You're gonna work to eat. You're gonna, build your sandcastle, but you know it's gonna fall later. All right. You build upon the foundation that won't fall, and that's upon Yahweh Shai, what he's building. All right, and that's eternal.